China's monetary policy framework and financial market transmission. Abstract. While it has evolved significantly over the years, China's monetary policy framework continues to differ in some important respects to those in most advanced economies. In contrast to these economies, the People's Bank of China makes significant use of quantity-based policy instruments, though interest rates now play a greater role than in the past. This article takes stock of China's current monetary policy framework and its implementation, and discuss the transmission of price-based monetary policy instrument to market and retail interest rate in the economy. In doing so, this article sheds light on the implementation of monetary policy in the world's second largest economy. Introduction. China's central bank, the People's Bank of China or PBC, was established in 1948. Since the PBC inception, China's monetary policy framework has changed significantly, including over the past decade or so. The monetary policy framework was initially built on central credit planning, where long-term credit was allocated to projects selected by national and local government. Central credit planning then gave way to a period of direct credit control between 1979 and 1997, where the PBC selected bank credit as its main intermediate policy target. In 1995, the law of the People's Republic of China on the People's Bank of China commenced, which outlined the PBC responsibility under the leadership of the State Council, or China's primary administrative authority. These responsibilities are to make and implement monetary policy, to prevent and resolve financial risk, to maintain financial stability. Shortly after, in 1998, the PBC abolished direct control over bank credit and moved to indirect control of money and credit. The PBC is obligated to support the objectives of the State Council, one consequence of which is that monetary policy is often used to complement fiscal policy, with operational independence restricted to the more technical aspect of monetary policy implementation. China's capital account settings also have implications for monetary policy, while gradual progress has been made on liberalizing capital flows. China maintained restriction on its capital account alongside a managed float exchange rate. Consequently, authorities face the common trilemma of managing the trade-off between autonomous monetary policy, stability of the exchange rate, and the degree to which capital is allowed to freely flow in and out of China. Thus, the PBC is more constrained in its use of price and quantity-based instruments than is typical of the central banks of most advanced economies. This article discusses this instrument, their implementation, and China's monetary policy framework more broadly. The current monetary policy framework. With interest rate liberalization now more advanced, interest rates have come to play a greater role in China's monetary policy framework. However, given the PBC's wider set of objectives, the PBC still uses quantity-based tools extensively, also relies on prudential and administrative controls, and exchange rate management to influence its operational figure. Like in figure 1, this one is China monetary policy framework. The first box is People's Bank of China. The policy instrument is price-based, quantity-based, prudential, administrative, and foreign exchange control. Next is operational target. The operational target is money market rate and base money. The intermediate target is M2 and total social financing, while the main objective is stable inflation and economic growth, balanced external account and exchange rate stability, and market reform and development. Objectives of monetary policy. The ultimate objective of the PBC is to maintain the stability of the value of the currency and thereby promote economic growth. The PBC interprets stability of the currency in two ways. Domestically, it means maintaining price stability, that is, inflation. Externally, it means keeping the exchange rate at an adaptive and equilibrium level. However, the PBC has indicated it has other core objectives: economic growth, full employment, and broadly maintaining balance of payment. The two dynamic objectives, financial reform and financial market development. The maintenance of multiple objectives implies a trade-off. with the PBC having previously stated that the weight placed on any given objective can vary based on how it deviates from the PBC target. Intermediate monetary policy target. The PBC intermediate target, that is, those the central bank can significantly influence with a reasonable time lag, and broad money supply M2, and aggregate financing to the real economy, also referred to as total social financing or TSF. Following the abolition of the mandatory credit plan in 1998, M2 and bank credit become the two most important intermediate target for monetary policy. However, as the correlation between M2 and economic activity declined, the PBC adopted TSF as an additional intermediate target in 2012. Specific numerical target for M2 growth have not been set since 2018, though the PBC has continued to communicate that growth in M2 and TSF should be aligned with nominal economic growth. Over time, the exchange rate has also appeared to serve as both a monetary policy objective and intermediate target. While authorities often note that the renminbi exchange rate is determined by market forces, in practice they maintain a managed float. Authorities retain significant influence over the exchange rate via the daily Chinese yuan fix, the midpoint of the permitted 2% plus minus 2% daily trading range, as well as the use of other measures. These measures have included capital flow management, measures such as adjustment to risk reserve requirement for foreign exchange forward, and adjustment to cross-border financing macroprudential policies. In recent history, exchange rate management has been most evident during periods of rapid and sustained movement in the currency. Operational target. To achieve its intermediate target, the PBC used a hybrid operating target system that includes influencing both the monetary base or currency and banking institution deposit with the PBC and short-term repurchase or repo rate. The PBC has targeted the 7-day interbank repo rate as the de facto operational target since around 2017. As this instrument involves large trading volume and is closely correlated with other short and medium-term market interest rate. Policy instrument. While the PBC has indicated a desire to transition from quantity to price control, price-based instruments have complemented quantity-based instruments, rather than operating as primary policy instrument. Indeed, the use of policy rate has become smaller and less frequent in recent years, which may reflect a desire for greater control of credit growth. Quantity-based instrument. The PBC can adjust either side of its balance sheet to affect its intermediate target, as in graph 1. On the liability side, the PBC can adjust reserve balance or issue debt. On the asset side, the PBC can buy or sell assets, such as foreign exchange or lend to domestic bank and the government. Table 1. The PBC can use this tool to influence both base money and benchmark rate, like the 7-day repo rate discussed below. So this one is the graph 1 of PBC balance sheet. As you can see, the asset side is consists of claim on financial institution, claims on government, other and foreign asset, while on the liability side is capital and other liabilities, bond issuance, government deposit, currency and financial institution reserve. The biggest portion is foreign asset for the asset, but claims on financial institution also be getting increase in since 2012. While on the liability side, the bigger portion is financial institution reserve, while the red one, capital and other liabilities, just getting bigger from since like 2015 or so. This is the table 1, the PBC quantity-based instrument. So the tools is reserve requirement ratio. It is the share of deposit the bank must hold as required reserve with the PBC. The second one is open market operation. It is primary repurchase or reverse repurchase agreement used by the PBC to affect interbank funding condition. Liquidity facilities. Liquidity facilities is a facilities used to support funding condition and in some instance to provide targeted support to sector. Relending facilities. Lending facilities is facilities typically offering shorter term funding less than 1 year to banks, secured by high quality collateral and targeted at specific sector. Last one is rediscounting. The PBC purchase unexpired discounted commercial bill of exchange held by financial institution. So we have this RRR, OMO, open market operation, liquidity facilities, relending facilities, and rediscounting. One of the PBC's more frequently used quantitative instrument is the reserve requirement ratio or RRR. The PBC generally use adjustment to the RRR to manage the monetary base, adjusting liquidity condition for financial institution rather than for financial stability reason. Despite the RRR historically being used as a liquidity management tool to offset the flows of foreign exchange reserve in China, more recent use of the RRR has been highly correlated with easing in the PBC price-based instrument and still carries a strong signaling effect for monetary policy. In addition to the RRR, the PBC use regular open market operation to manage interbank liquidity. These are primarily repo and reverse repo agreement. We can see in graph 2. Repo maturities range from 1 week to 1 year, though the most common are 7 days, and they are secured against high quality collateral like government and policy bank bond. So this is the PBC open market operation. The red one is repo 7 day, green one is repo 2 weeks, and the other repo is the purple, while the TCD, CBB, and CBS is also the other. This one is includes CBB is central bank bill, CBS is central bank bill swap, repos is repurchase and reverse repurchase agreement. TCD is treasury cash deposit. Outside of OMO activity, the PBC has a range of facilities to manage liquidity in the banking system. The most heavily used is the medium-term lending facility. The MLF was introduced in 2014 and provides a medium-term, typically 1-year funding to commercial and policy banks, with participants pledging high-quality collateral such as treasury bonds, central bank bills, and high-grade bonds. Notably, the interest rate on MLF funds is the PBC medium-term policy rate. Since 2017, the PBC has only issued at a 12-month tenor. In the past, facilities like the pledge supplementary lending facilities has also been used to provide longer-term funding to support government infrastructure projects. The PBC can also use structural monetary policy tools. This refers to the PBC's relending and rediscounting facilities. Relending facilities consist of shorter-term funding, less than 1 year, to banks, secured by high-quality bank loans or high-grade bonds. Relending facilities generally provide cheaper funding to banks when compared with other facilities such as the MLF and are primarily used to support specific industries. The PBC typically adopts a reimbursement mechanism whereby financial institutions make loans to eligible projects at a rate close to the loan prime rate (LPR) or lower if the borrower credit rating permits, and are then reimbursed by the PBC at the rate on the relending facility. The PBC rediscounting program refers to the purchase of unexpired discounted commercial bill of exchange held by financial institutions to channel funds to banks, typically to support financing to specific sector. Movement in foreign exchange reserve are closely related to China-based money supply management and have a significant impact on the use of various monetary policy instruments. When the PBC accumulates foreign currency reserve as it did for the period between 2002 and 2014, the PBC credit bank reserve balance with domestic currency, which increase liquidity. If the increases are considered consistent with the PBC objective, they have typically been offset through either OMO or increase in the RRR, which along with the PBC liquidity facilities from its toolbox for managing liquidity. This is the graph 3. This is the China balance of payment and exchange rate, yuan per US dollar, but inverted, while the below one is the balance of payment. As we can see, the reserve is the yellow one, and the blue one is capital and financial account, excluding reserve. current account always in surplus, the red one. Price-based instrument. The PBC operates an interest rate corridor to guide its short-term policy rate, as in graph 4. The short-term policy rate is the PBC 7-day reverse repo rate used in OMO. Through daily OMO, the PBC influences short-term rates, its operational target, such as the pledged 7-day repo rate for participating banks and other eligible financial institutions. The corridor ceiling is the rate on the standing lending facility SLF, the rate at which the PBC will provide short-term funding to financial institutions, set at 100 basis points above the PBC 7-day reverse repo rate. The floor is the interest rate at which the PBC remunerates banks' excess reserve, currently 145 basis points below the 7-day repo rate. The PBC's medium-term policy rate is the rate on the LMF. Benchmark deposit rate, discussed below, may also be considered one of the PBC price-based instruments, though they are used less frequently than the PBC other price-based and quantity-based tool. This is graph 4, PBC interest rate corridor. In the middle one, we have 7-day repo rate, and the black one is how PBC try to control this by using the PBC 7-day dealing rate. The above is PBC SLF 7-day, and the below one is interest rate on excess reserve. Prudential and administrative control. Along with price and quantity-based tools, the PBC also uses a range of prudential and administrative tools to achieve its objective, including window guidance and the macroprudential assessment framework or MPA. The term window guidance refers to central bank action to influence commercial bank behavior, typically without official acknowledgement. Recent reported examples including the PBC asking bank to purchase Chinese local government financing vehicles debt instrument in late 2022, advising some banks to slow the pace of lending in early 2023. At the beginning of 2016, the PBC introduced the MPA framework to help address macroprudential risk in the financial system. The framework uses a scoring system 0 to 100 for 16 indicators across 7 categories to assess the soundness of banking institutions and their compliance with national directives. The MPA aims to influence each bank loan and other credit expansion with the use of differentiated reserve requirement and remuneration on the reserve of that bank. The PBC also uses other prudential tools to support monetary policy, including policy aimed at directly influencing its intermediate target. Recent examples include an adjustment to the macroprudential parameter that controls the quantity of cross-border financing for companies, including banks, and adjustment to mortgage rate floor. Foreign exchange management. To achieve its monetary policy objective of keeping the renminbi exchange rate at an adaptive and equilibrium level, the PBC intervenes directly in the foreign exchange market and also uses a range of indirect measures. Foreign exchange intervention has become less frequent since 2016. More recently, former PBC Governor Yi Gang noted that the PBC has largely exited from regular intervention, though it reserved the right to intervene in extreme situations. However, over the past couple of years, the PBC has used the CNY fix and other indirect measures to support the exchange rate, suggesting intervention remains a tool the PBC is willing to use, albeit less frequently. You can see in graph 5, this is the Chinese exchange rate, and the gray one is the allowable daily trading range. Previous day close is the blue one, and CNY fix is the red one. And if we look at difference between expected and actual CNY fix, it's getting bigger in 2022 after COVID, and 2023 and 2024. Since the early 2014, the CNY has been allowed to trade in a daily range, plus minus 2% from the CNY fix. Negative value indicate the official fix was stronger than expected by market economies, supporting the yuan against the dollar. Transmission of Chinese monetary policy price-based instrument. Policy rate transmission to benchmark rate. The PBC influenced the short end of the yield curve through short and medium-term interbank liquidity operation, the MLF rate, and adjustment to the interest rate corridor. This operation influenced the PBC short-term benchmark rate, or the 7-day repo rate for participating depository institution, or DR007, which is closely monitored as an indicator of market liquidity. You can see in this is a figure 2, Chinese interest rate structure. So, People Banks of China have a price-based instrument and a quantity-based instrument. 7-day dealing rate, medium-term lending facility rate is price-based instrument, while for the quantity-based instrument, they have reserve requirement ratio, open market operation, liquidity facilities, and structural monetary policy tools. The 7-day dealing rate will affect benchmark rate, 7-day repo rate, while the medium-term lending facility rate hopefully will affect the loan prime rate. The 7-day repo rate will also affected by this quantity-based instrument. The 7-day repo rate then will affect money market rate in market rate, and loan prime rate will affect the bond market rate. Both the benchmark rate and market rate will at the end affecting retail rate such as lending rate and deposit rate. And also the quantity based instrument have this intermediate target M2 and total social financing that will also be affected by the retail rate. Adjustment to the PBC's MLF rate directly influence LPRs. LPR are a benchmark that represent the average interest rate on loan that commercial bank provide to their most creditworthy customer and are the major pricing reference for financial institution. LPR are quoted as a spread to the MLF, with the spread reflecting the cost of fund, risk premium, and other factor. So for example, when the PBC lowers the MLF, there is typically a subsequent decline in the LPR. The movement in the LPR need not necessarily be preceded by a movement in the MLF. Other factors can also affect the spread between the LPR and the MLF. For example, if there was a notable change in credit risk associated with lending to banks-based customer, a change in the MLF may not completely flow through a change in the LPR. Transmission to market rates. Policy-induced change to liquidity condition in the interbank system influence money market rates, such as the Shanghai Interbank Offer Rate or SIBOR, and to some extent movement in the short end of the Chinese government bond yield curve. Yields on medium and long-term government debt has a loose relationship with money market, though they are more heavily influenced by market expectation of development of the macroeconomy and the stance of monetary policy. This is the graph 1, monetary market rate and bond yields. The blue one is 3-month SIBOR, orange is 3 years Chinese government bond yield, and the yellow one is 7-day repo rate. Retail lending and deposit rate. Since 2019, all new bank loans have been priced relative to the LPR, improving the transmission of change in the MLF through lending rate. While banks use an appropriate LPR as a reference rate for borrowers depending on the maturity of the loan, the PBC determines a mortgage rate floor. Longer-term loans to household, which largely consist of mortgage, are typically priced off the 5-year LPR. For loans with maturity of less than 5 years, financial institutions are free to choose the relevant LPR. The PBC mortgage rate floor for first home buyers is currently 20 basis points below the 5-year LPR. For other borrowers, the mortgage rate floor is 20 basis points above the 5-year LPR. In an effort to support the demand for housing amid the weakness in the property sector over 2022, the PBC and the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission allow banks to provide first home buyer with mortgage rates below the PBC floor in cities that experienced 3 consecutive months of new housing price decline. Further measures announced in 2023 including financing of outstanding mortgage, guidance to lend to some sector of the economy, and lower limit on mortgage rates on second home. These measures have likely contributed to pressure on banks' profitability, as lending rates have declined further than deposit rate. The LPR also has influence over bank deposit rate. Banks are given flexible guidance to set deposit rate based on movement in the 10-year China's government bond yield and the 1-year LPR. In practice, the 1-year LPR has the most influence since most fixed-term deposits have a maturity of less than 2 years. This means the MLF rate exerts influence over both deposit and lending rates, though over the past few years adjustment in deposit rate have been slower, likely reflecting the importance of deposit in Chinese bank funding structure. Deposit rates are also subject to an upper limit, which is determined by a regulatory body, the interest rate self-discipline mechanism, composed of financial institutions and overseen by the PBC. The 1-year upper limit on demand deposit is currently set at 10 and 20 basis points above the PBC benchmark deposit rate for large and small and medium bank, respectively. See graph 7, this is the benchmark interest rate with household deposit rate and lending rate. The red one is 10-year Chinese government bond yield, and also above 10-year Chinese government bond yield is 1-year LPR, 1-year benchmark rate, and overnight benchmark rate. As for the lending rate, we have 5-year benchmark rate, 5-year LPR, 1-year LPR, and 1-year MLF rate. Okay, the first star benchmark interest rate. This is the value at last trading day of month. For household deposit rate, from April 2022, the PBC has guided bank to set deposit rate with reference to the 1-year LPR and 10-year Chinese government bond yield. For the lending rate, in August 2019, it was announced that the loan prime rate LPR would become the new reference rate for lending. Conclusion: China's monetary policy framework has evolved considerably over the past few decades to involve the greater use of price-based instruments. The PBC primary price-based instrument, the 7-day repo rate, the rate on the LMLF, influence broader market rates in the economy, ultimately affecting retail rate. Nevertheless, the PBC prudential and administrative and quantity-based instrument continue to play a more central role in China than elsewhere, with adjustment to the RRR and structural monetary policy tools continuing to be commonplace in China's monetary policy framework. Okay, this is the last part, the Appendix A, liquidity facilities. Table A1, overview of China's liquidity provisioning facility. The first column is facility, time of introduction. I think that's not that important. The purpose one I will mention, target banks, tenor, and collateral required. So first is standing lending facility or SLF. The purpose of standing lending facility is to meet unusually large liquidity demand. The target is all bank and the tenor is like 1 day to 1 month. The collateral required for standing lending facility is high quality bonds and credit asset. The second one is pledge supplementary lending facility or PSL. The purpose of PSL is a collateralized form of on-lending facility. Target banks is policy banks. The tenor is normally above 3 years. The collateral required is adjustable by the PBC. And then we have medium-term lending facility or MLF. The purpose of MLF is to supply base money over the medium term. The target banks is all the qualified commercial bank and policy bank. Tenor 3 to 1 year, 3 months to 1 year. and the collateral required is high quality bond. Next one is Targeted Medium Term Lending Facility or TMLF. The purpose of TMLF is to supply base money over the medium term to provide liquidity to the private sector. The target of TMLF is all qualified commercial bank and policy bank, so it's similar with MLF. The tenor is 3 years, 12 months can be rolled over on request. The collateral required is high quality bond, so this one is really similar with MLF. The difference is on the purpose. The purpose is mostly to provide liquidity to the private sector. Next one is Temporary Lending Facility or TLF. The purpose of TLF is temporary supply of base money. The target banks is 5 biggest state-owned commercial bank and no collateral required. And the last one is Contingent Reserve Arrangement or CRA. The purpose is temporary supply of base money. The target bank is National Commercial Bank, tenor 30 days, and no collateral required.